Well, we're here again, Punch Drunk Nerdians. We're back for another episode 17, all right? This is the podcast where three boys, three friends, three compadres coming together, talking about nerd shit every week. What is this podcast about? Well, didn't I just say that? Weren't you listening? It's three friends, three caballeros coming together and talking about nerd shit. It's a wild week. My name is Luis Gonzalez, and with me is...
Miguel Sanchez.
And Deadpool.
And today we are going to be talking about the news of the week, of course. And instead of having a movie discussion, we're going to do a quick summer blockbuster box office recap. If you've been listening to the podcast, we have been doing these, what we call a summer movie wager predictions, where we try to predict the top 10 movies. So we're going to take the time, because June is pretty much over, and review what movies have been hitting the top 10. And we'll see where we all land and who is going to be losing this competition. We'll explain more as we get there. And then finally, we're going to do a little section called What We Are Into, where each one of us says, hey, I've been into this. Hey, I've been into that. And so we'll do a little bit of that. But before we do that, we're going to do News of the Week. And we're going to talk about Top Gun. Again, that bad boy is coming in strong. Strong in the numbers, where it was tying with Elvis. Okay, this was Elvis's first week in the box office. Top Gun's been in theaters for 5 weekends, and they were basically number one. And then, the final numbers, Elvis had 31.2 million, and Top Gun finished number 2 with 29.6 million. So I just think it's crazy that a movie is able to last this long. I mean, this is the movie that started the summer for me, and it's still going strong up until June. It's crazy.
It's good. I mean, happy for it. And it just crossed the 1 billion mark worldwide.
Dude.
And the first one to do so this year. So.
There we go.
Well done.
Well done,
Tom.
A shout out to them. Miguel, you got anything? Sounds like you're about to spew something.
I was just going to say, this whole Tom Cruise, I was calling him Tom Gunn.
Tom Gunn.
Tom Gunn, baby.
From now on, Tom Gunn, baby.
No, dude, the fact that he held on to this for so long and just absolutely refused. I know I've kind of a broken record. I said this before, but he just refused to let this movie, come out to streaming, and he waited, and it paid off, man. People were like excited to go see this movie in the theaters, and it's getting all the success it deserves. Let's go.
Absolutely. It's getting success. It's getting praise. The one thing that isn't getting praise is the new Instagram update. Okay. I don't know if you guys have been dealing with this business, but my fiance Sarah has. She showed me last night. She says, have you been on Instagram and seen this shit? And I'm like, no, I was on it a few seconds ago and it seemed fine. She showed it to me and the interface completely changed. I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's looking like TikTok now, in the sense where it is just straight up reels now. Photos are like almost gone. And the way that you scroll, you know how when you scroll, you see a photo, you see like the top comment there, and then you keep going. In this new format, it's completely blacked out into one frame. You don't get any of the comments, and you're forced to focus only on one post at a time. So there's no more fluidity where you can kind of like peek the next post as you're seeing the first post. You know what I mean? Like, here's the post. You're about to bring the post to the top, and you can cheat and see the next post that's coming up. That doesn't happen anymore. It's all like TikTok, where you get one post at a time, one stream of, and it's a bunch of reels. And there was a complaint that, she was complaining, like, I don't know who the fuck these people are. Like, I'm just getting thrown reels. And we've all known ever since TikTok's been like blowing up, Facebook, Instagram, everyone is trying to imitate this reel, the TikTok feel. I was just kind of blown away by how terrible and disgusting it looked. I mean, this is the thing. If you want those video content, you go to TikTok. And if you want like photos and stuff, you go to Instagram. So now I'm starting to utilize the whole like close friends system. Do you guys know about that? Where you can go up and you can choose all your close friends and cut out all the bullshit. Because Instagram is changing. And I went into my app, into my phone, and I stopped automatic updates because I don't want to switch over.
I gotta pause that. So you can't see like stories or anything up at the top or anything. It's just the
that's the one good thing is the stories is still there. And she was talking about it and she was saying I might as well just use this for stories now, because I'm getting so much other content that's randomized, and that's what's good for TikTok. Like, when you're in the mood, But here you want close friends, you want to like know what's going on with them. And of course, like, you know, you want to follow like people who make funny videos and memes and things like that, but not just complete 1000% randos on top of sponsors, you know. I was curious. I guess you guys haven't gone through that experience yet, but it's pretty rough.
I mean, I've noticed some differences just like mindlessly scrolling. It's just like bullshit after bullshit after bullshit, and just recommending more reels on top of that. Yeah, like you realize there's not like a whole lot of just like it's not like just smooth scrolling. It like you scroll up and it locks on that next reel.
It locks.
I like choosing that.
Smooth
like when I'm watching reels, like I'm selecting that option. You know what I mean? Like I'm clicking on that function and I'm going through that because I'm choosing to. But on my regular feed, I get to just see like posts and things like that. And some reels get sprinkled in, and it's like, okay. But this is interesting. I mean, I do most of my Instagram through stories and reels, so at least the stories are there, so I can at least see people's what's happening.
Yeah, it's weird because doing this podcast, it's been really like enlightening to learn all the stuff where after you post a video, they're like, "We're going to put this on a reel, whether you like it or not." And I'm like, "God damn!" And so I was having trouble uploading a recent one where we talked about Obi-Wan, the formatting it. I tried to make it into a square. And it just zoomed in and completely cropped everything else. And so when you watch that video on our Instagram social, there's like black bars up top because I had to do a weird thing in camera recording just to make it fit. But it's like fucking things up where I can't even do square videos anymore, you know. And so it's just changing so much. It's completely following the whole TikTok formula. It's rough times ahead. And the thing is, I was following what Ed is saying, the fluidity of it all.
Yeah.
I want the fluidity.
That's if anything, the nice soothing thing about Instagram. It wasn't as intense. It's purely just enjoying people's pictures, like what people are sharing in their lives, not as fucking I don't know, fodder.
I will say though that like Ed, don't you have like our highest viewed reels on our Instagram so far? You know what I mean? You're the star, baby. Like you can't be.
When are you coming back, Ed? When are you coming back with more reels? The people want more.
Dude.
I've I just need the right subject matter, I guess. Let's see what inspires me.
It's like Tarantino, you know what I mean? You got to wait a couple years so you get the next one.
Yeah, I'm only gonna do 10 in my lifetime. So.
But we need to get at least 1,000 views on the next one. Okay, so that's your goal. Yeah. Okay.
No pressure.
No, we'll coach you. We'll coach you.
Yeah, so, you know, not everyone's digging this new Instagram, but listen, let's get back to more positive news. Cheez-Its.
Yes.
Specifically, Cheez-Its and Taco Bell. They've come together. And let me just say that Taco Bell is a trendsetter. Bro. They go for the fences. Yes. They do anything. And they're innovative. You know what I mean? In a time when we don't get a lot of innovation and everyone wants to feel safe. Yes. You know what I mean? Yes. We have Taco Bell coming in to save the day. Here we go, making the huge ass Cheez-It in a Crunch Wrap Supreme.
Dude.
Do you think they're just trying to distract us from the fact that they haven't had supplies for the Mexican pizza in a couple of weeks? Because I still haven't had one, and it's very frustrating.
Fuck a Mexican pizza. I want a big ass Cheez-It. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. I do
too. I was here for it.
Dude,
I was just like, I like Cheez-Its.
I mean,
that's like Ed, that sounds thick and crunchy, cheesy.
I saw it. I saw it on my own Instagram. Ed sent it to me and a couple friends, and then Luis sent it to me and Ed on a whole separate channel, and I was telling him, I was like, dude, this thing is fucking blowing up.
We know our audience. We are
buzzing with this fucking Cheez-It news today, dude. Like the whole internet paused to be like, yo, let's talk about this, dude.
Absolutely.
Like, I just want the giant.
I want to pull it out. I want to order it, and then I want to pull it out and investigate it. Be like, what is this?
Wow.
Yeah,
Lily loves Cheez-Its, so I just want to be like, hey, Lily, look at this.
Dude, imagine it's as big as your face. Sign me up, dude.
Let's not get carried away. It is going to be Taco Bell size.
Yeah, but also fun, you know?
It's fun. And like, you know, you can customize. In a Taco Bell app, you can customize certain things. Like, I don't want guac. I want more. So somebody, you know, at IGN where I work, they put this on their social. Like, I wonder if I can go and just remove all the toppings and just be left with just the cheese and cracker as you come up.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, so apparently, I guess I looked into it more, was that it's only being offered in one store right now. I mean, as it comes out today. It's in Irvine, California, which is by me. So maybe I'll have to go and try it.
No, dude.
I gotta do it for
first
the
class.
I'll see if I can send it first class to you guys. You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom.
Bro.
You know, put it in a refrigeration.
Like just one cracker in a bunch of styrofoam.
Yeah.
Like layered. Like I just received my MacBook Air, and I mean that was solid as a rock, baby.
Yeah.
Put that cracker in a setup like that. Oh yeah.
I will say,
we'll have a Cheez-It
just think about the first time you heard them say we're going to throw Doritos on something, and you were probably like, "This is bullshit."
Exactly, dude.
What the fuck are they doing?
It's gross.
And have you had one of those tacos? No, I've had 50 of those tacos. Okay, that shit's delicious. Give me more.
I mean, I wanted to talk about some of their past examples here. Obviously, the Dorito Loco Tacos, nacho fries is a big hit. Ed, you were talking about the Mexican pizza, the California loaded fried burrito, and even going so far into Crazyland, the naked egg.
No, go ahead.
The naked egg taco. Do you remember that?
No.
The French toast chalupa, the Kit Kat chocoladilla, and the waffle taco. These are things that Taco Bell does. Innovating.
If I remember correctly,
is that like
isn't there like a section of like the Midwest where all these like fast food joints like do their test kitchens and they like test them on like fat people in Illinois or whatever to be like I read that I was like, how do I move? You know what I mean? I want to be on the front lines of this shit. I would love to catch some diabetes to tell people this is good or bad. You know what I mean?
We need to create a punch drunk nerd office in the middle of thick of these restaurants that are testing everything.
Nebraska, you know what I mean? Let's fucking go.
We love you, Nebraska listeners. You're the best.
Yeah, I mean, half of those I haven't even heard of, but it reminds me of that time KFC did that little that chicken witch or whatever it was called, where it was like a folded, like two pieces of chicken.
The bread.
With bacon and cheese on the inside.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah, but I mean, I had it. It was very dry. But you know, all that to say, you know, we're always looking for new ways to kill ourselves. So
I mean, this shit is like
if I got to go out on Taco Bell, and like that California fried burrito, I've never heard of that. I love burritos. I hate the bullshit burrito menu that they have at Taco Bell currently. Like they got rid of the like the grilled stuffed burrito. Like that's a fucking classic. Why would you get rid of that? You know, it's just it's bullshit. It's all mush now. And I've noticed, at least in Texas, they've gotten rid of all of their fajita options. It's just like ground meat or chicken now.
You were getting the you were getting the fajita steak every time you went to Taco Bell?
Only when I got the grilled stuffed burrito, because that's the only way to have it. That's the only way to have it.
They were touting the whole like get the grilled tripled fajita burrito. It was like just stacked with fajitas meat in there. Do you remember that?
They were doing that grilled cheese burrito for a while too, where they just like grilled cheese on the outside of the burrito, and you could get it spicy, so they would put pickled jalapenos on top of it. But you bet I ate it, and you bet it was delicious for a minute until the heartburn kicked in. Because it's like so much cheese. But they do that with their chalupas too, the grilled cheese chalupa.
No.
You guys had that one?
The heartburn. It's the heartburn. I can't.
Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah. Yeah, I've had more than I care to admit to, but yeah. Taco Bell.
It's the magical stuff that they're doing. It's like, it's just how they're able to put all these flavors together. But you know, it's not the only magical thing I'm looking forward to. Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh my god.
It's coming on Disney Plus September 30th. The trailers come out. You get a little taste of Hocus Pocus. Obviously, that movie was a flop when it first came out. But it's become a cult classic. It's always on Freeform every year. And so you can always catch it on TV. You know, I love Hocus Pocus. You guys like Hocus Pocus?
It was a movie I was introduced to when I first moved to this country. I haven't
Welcome
watched
to
it in
America.
quite.
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're this is where we burned witches, and this is where we made Disney movies. So, like, it wasn't like close to my heart or anything. I mean, I remember enjoying it. It's definitely a movie of its time, and it definitely seems suitable for a Disney Plus release. So. That's all I gotta say about that. We'll probably end up watching it because I know Sarah's a fan of it. So
Same. Kristen's definitely a fan. She was more into the Halloween movies than I was, so we definitely do like a slew of them every year. So I already know this one's going to pop off in our house.
Absolutely. I mean, the Sanderson sisters is where it's at. You know, maybe not the kids as much, but like Sarah Jessica Parker, Bette Midler. You know, they were so theatrical. I loved it a lot because you could just feel like they did rehearse it a lot beforehand, and you can feel that they were being pretty playful with it. And just some of the choices they make is just so funny to me that I'm interested to see what they do with Hocus Pocus too. I mean, it's a different director, it's a different writer. You know, that always scares me when that happens. But I think they have a musical theater background, the director and the writer. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of that same magic. But another show that I'm looking forward to coming back is Harley Quinn on HBO Max. It's coming out July 28th. July 28th, season 3, with 3 episodes right out of the gate. Ed, I know you've watched Harley Quinn, right?
Yeah, no, I love it. It was such a surprising endeavor. Of all the animated shows they have for Batman and his friends and villains, this one just took me by surprise. And I guess it came around when all of that stuff came up about, I guess it was like Batman going down on Catwoman.
Yeah.
Or something like that in that show. And it just completely takes you by surprise. It's got a great voice cast, and it's so utterly ridiculous and hilarious. But it's a great show. I'm excited to have it back.
Yeah, I don't think
Miguel, so you're saying it's going to come out with just 3 episodes?
No, it'll premiere with 3 episodes.
Oh, I love
You'll be able to
dude.
binge.
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
For like Obi-Wan,
and then it will release week by week.
For Obi-Wan, for me, that made shit so much more like I could eat this shit up, dude. Like, give me a couple to like start me going good, and then boom, just like a couple weeks later, and then you're done. I love that.
Exactly.
Wet your whistle a little bit.
I love that too. That's my favorite way of having new shows. It's like, I'm going to dump these 3 and then we'll release it weekly. Or what Arcane did, the animated series on Netflix about League of Legends, they released 3 and then you waited a couple weeks and they released another 3 and then you waited a couple weeks and released another 3.
That's good too.
So it was kind of like a 3 act
I was just talking
where the 3 movies.
I was just talking to Kristen today about how like I'm not like a binger. I don't really like to binge watch shows like 4, 5, 6 episodes at a time or whatever. I'm like a 2 episode kind of max kind of guy. So when they release like 2 or 3 at a time, it's like, great, that's perfect for me. Let me just watch these. I'll catch up, and then boom.
And it gives people time to digest the episodes. You know, it's like people could talk about it and just not like completely forget about it next week or the week after. Or it's like, have you caught up? No, I'm still behind. Okay, well then how many episodes do you have left over? It's so hard to like talk to people, and you feel pressure to like binge 8 episodes in like one sitting before you go back to work.
It's a lot.
And so how many episodes or rather shows, you know, do you come across where people have been like, I watched the first episode, I wasn't so into it, and of course they just didn't want to wait for the second one. Whereas when you get this, you're just like, okay, I could give it another go, see where the second episode, because it's like so many shows when just for like starting off, it needs to find its rhythm in some cases. Like most recently, Our Flag Means Death.
Yes,
I feel like they released the first couple of episodes for that one too, and it picks up. You start to get a feel for like what the show's intention is and stuff like that. So it's a far preferable strategy to having to wait, like go with 1 episode and just hope like, is it going to be good or not? Or do I want to invest my time each week? You know, this way you can decide like, I want to watch this, or no, I'm not here for it, kind of thing.
what's it called? I know Miguel hasn't seen this Harley Quinn show, but I highly recommend it.
I have.
It's 2 seasons are out. Oh,
I
you
have.
have?
Way to
Oh,
make
bro,
it.
well,
Way to make
excuse
it. Way
me.
to make a dope ass
up?
assumption about me. Okay. No.
Oh
no.
shit, I'm a dumbass idiot. No.
No, actually, I've only seen a good handful. I mean, at the time, Ed was talking about it. I think there was season 2 had just come out, so I was trying to kind of catch up. So I maybe watched a good chunk of the first season, but I was also watching Invincible at the same time. So I kind of leaned.
Okay.
I leaned more towards that.
Oh.
Both very bloody shows, but this one
No,
is way more
it's
comedic and
hilarious.
irreverent and pokes fun at the
Yeah.
DC universe
And to
completely.
Everything.
To Ed's
It's so
point,
good.
like I really didn't care
Sorry.
for it the first episode I watched. I was just kind of like, there's so much going on. There's so many other things I'm watching right now. It didn't hook me right away. And so the fact that I kind of committed to 2 or 3 episodes, it did kind of like, oh, okay,
Oh,
now I'm getting
interesting.
into it. Now I kind of
Yeah,
see
yeah.
their vibe and I'm having a little bit more fun with it.
I felt like I got hooked on that first episode. I got the vibe and got going. But I was reading this article. Apparently, they were like, "How many F words can we say?" And they're like, "You can say as many as you want." And then I think after the first episode, I'm trying to find out how many F words they had. Maybe 21 or more. And then
Yeah.
HBO was like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to cut back on that a little bit. We can't have you saying that many." So they had to make like a rule where only 8 a show would do for this
Wow.
thing because they were
Because
just,
it was like however many F words there were for 20 minutes, right?
yeah,
It was like such a like a couple of F words a minute.
F words a minute. Yeah, yeah,
basically.
yeah. They're like, you have to
Yeah.
bring it down. So super bloody, super fun. Highly recommend. And then this next one, I'm going to throw it to Ed. He threw 2 of these new trailers coming up. See How They Run comes out September 30th.
See how they run.
Yeah, this is you.
So I've seen, this was one of those I was like kind of waiting for a trailer for to get a feel for it. But it's got like a pretty great cast. Saoirse Ronan, Sam Rockwell, Adrien Brody, David Oyelowo, and Ruth Wilson. And it's basically what looks like a fun rump of a whodunit kind of thing. The trailer just dropped today. Saoirse Ronan is like a police constable, no, she's a constable who's just like overly. She makes like assumptions and just like assumes everybody's the culprit kind of thing. Whereas Sam Rockwell, rocking an English accent by the way, is like the detective along trying to solve the mystery. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a great cast, and it looks like everybody's having a good time with it. Did you guys
but
get to
based
watch
on
the
your
trailer?
like whole summary
no.
alone, you've got me hooked. Like that's a cast I want to see, and if they're having a good time, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, like Saoirse Ronan is just like very like earnest as a detective, and obviously she's just kind of just everything she's releasing lately has been fucking great. So this just looks like a fun character, almost like that kind of cheeky Wes Anderson tone,
Dude.
but obviously not as
Yes.
abstract, but it's like still very stylish and very kind of theatrical in a way. So it looks like a lot of fun. And so yeah, I just want it's one of those smaller movies that probably people haven't heard of yet. So get out there, check out the trailer. It might be a fun one.
I had no idea
Sorry, go
this was
ahead,
coming
Luis.
out, and I'm so excited now. Just looking at the pictures, a few clips of these images of this trailer. The director, he did TV shows for The Country, Defending the Guilty. I guess he is he British? This director,
I believe so.
yeah, Tom
Right.
George. So it's very exciting.
That sounds
Writer
like a-
Mark Chappell. So yeah, this is very cool. And then you have another one called 13 Lives.
13 Lives. Did you guys check this one out?
I did not.
This is the Ron Howard directed movie based on that cave diving incident a few years back, where that group of 13 kids and their teacher were stuck in a cave, and like it was like a couple of weeks long process of trying to get them out of there, so they had to use cave divers and stuff like that. Like it just like had the world's attention because they were running out of oxygen in this cave because it filled up with water.
Okay.
Anyway, so obviously it's one of those like dramatic world events where of course somebody wanted to make a movie. In this case, it was Ron Howard. It's got Colin Farrell, Viggo Mortensen, some other actors who I'm blanking on right now. Joel Edgerton.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like all three of those guys. They're fucking great. They're currently just like in a great place in their careers. So it's interesting that they're on board with this one. And the trailer, I mean, I don't know. Again, this was such a recent event, I feel like. Just like, it makes me wonder, like, was it really necessary? It is coming to Prime Video. It is having a short and limited theatrical release. But, you know, it's like September, so I don't know. Ron Howard is a well-established and pretty good director. I mean, but his movies are kind of like generally just like safe and very, I mean, but always solid kind of thing.
Yeah. Totally.
It's just like he's a director who just like knows what he's doing. He could do the job like with his eyes closed kind of thing. And so this just feels like I was just more curious. I put it up there because I was more curious to see what you guys thought about that, having like that real event having.
It reminds
been
me of
portrayed
when
so quickly.
Nicolas Cage and Michael Pena did that like 9/11 movie. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was like 4 years after 9/11 or whatever, and like even Michael Pena was like, maybe we did it a little too soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was like 5 years, but that was the same year that United 93 came out too.
Movie, so.
And that was a rough one. So yeah, I don't know. And obviously, of course, we know the story. Like everybody survived, but obviously one of the divers died in the process. So it's not as like tragic a tale. I mean, obviously it was tragic because one diver did die in the process, but yeah, I don't know. It just, I mean, yeah, I am kind of glad it was on straight to streaming within a week. So, you know, I wasn't begging for this movie to be made. You know, this wasn't like, this would be a great movie.
Yeah.
Let's, but like I said, I mean, the cast.
Do you think they're going to do an Elon Musk cameo in this movie? You know what I mean?
I hope so.
Like someone to
just
play
shit on
Elon
him.
Musk. You know what I mean? I'd be curious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is Jeff Bezos's company, so maybe he'll just be like, "Hey, can we throw in
like
this
a dialogue
real quick?"
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like what? Yeah, because he was trying to do like a mini submarine, right?
Yeah,
that could go into caves. And then he called one of the divers
that was
a
unfortunate.
pedophile or something. Yeah, it was unfortunate. That was an unfortunate series of events. But okay, yeah, the trailer came out today. There it is. Go check it out. I'm more excited for see how they run. I'll say that much.
Yeah, you know, I guess I'm happy that it's going to be streaming. This movie looks very serious, and I don't know, and depressing.
It's just like one of those true story disaster movies, basically. I mean,
coming soon or now out. This is our new section here. Coming soon, Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel will be coming December 20th, 2023. Jason Reitman and writers Gil Kennan is confirmed, and it will be its return to New York City. Another coming soon is Russo brothers and Millie Brown are working on a Netflix movie called The Electric State. Let's see. I'm trying to find out where is this? Oh, no. I'm trying to find out the premise here. Where's the premise? It's based on an adaptation of an illustrated novel and is set in a retro-futuristic part where an orphan teenager, Brown, traverses the American West with a sweet but mysterious robot and an eccentric drifter in search for her younger brother. And also, apparently, Chris Pratt is supposed to be in this movie. You know, maybe.
Staying busy as always.
As always, he has that other movie, The Terminalist, which is. Have you seen that? Yeah. So there's that, and then Stranger Things. Probably when this episode comes out, Stranger Things Volume 2 will already be out. I'm sure you'll get advertisement for it everywhere. I will be checking it out. Pretty much, it's like 2 whole movies of Stranger Things once it's out. And Minions: Rise of Gru is out. Only Murders in the Building. I love that show. It's on Hulu. 2 episodes are already out. They have a Tuesday release.
Hey, we were just saying. Yep.
Exactly. We're just saying how they're releasing with a bunch of episodes. Super cool.
That was definitely one of those shows where they started off for the first season. I mean,
Yeah.
Sarah and I watched like the first 1 or 2 episodes back to back, and then we realized like, oh shit, it's a week by week. But
Yeah.
we're already we're invested. It's a fun show for anybody who hasn't seen that. It's a good, nice little laugh.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows about Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez, and it's just like a great pairing, and it's a return to like that type of comedy that, you know, it's kind of hard to see and hard to get in other shows. So that's really awesome. And then I just thought this was a cool thing to end on, but you know, The Mandalorian is filmed in this special thing called The Volume, which is basically a 360 screen all around you. So instead of having, you know, them filming in the desert for those scenes, they can just put a desert scene in the background of the video. And it really kind of creates this realistic feel where people aren't like cutouts onto a green screen, you know, because the lighting of the sun that is coming off of the monitors is reflecting off of his helmets and stuff like that. So it just makes it very realistic, very cool. Anyway, Percy Jackson, that movie, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, they're building a bigger volume, a bigger setup. And the only thing I wanted to point out was that I like how other studios and other places are adopting this thing, and I hope it becomes like more prevalent in our movies.
I mean, after Mandalorian, the Batman also did it. You know what I mean? And it was just like, okay, you could tell like this was the next big thing. It feels kind of like when George Lucas was like, "This is blue screen, green screen." You know what I mean? Like we've taken that next step.
Totally. Yeah, I was going to reference the Batman too, but yeah, I mean, where you can start including like live footage. I mean, it feels very like set in place, like that felt like Gotham in that movie.
Yeah.
You know, it was very, they capture it, and it opens up for a lot of possibilities. For sure.
I mean, look online, YouTube it. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. It's very, very cool stuff. So that's the news, everybody. Good job. Congratulations. We did the news. Yay! And now we're moving on to the summer blockbuster box office update. Hooah. So we're going to give you a quick update on the top 10 movies we think were going to be basically the summer movie wager inspired by Slash Film Podcast. We choose whatever 10 theatrical films we think will be the most profitable domestically, with number 1 being most successful and number 10 being least. This is not taking into account the worldwide box office total, only domestic. So the closer we are to the actual last, placement, the more points we get. So we're gonna do a quick roundup. Miguel, do you want to give your top 10?
Totally.
Movies that you had?
Okay.
You can go from 1 to 10.
Yeah, I'll just start at the very top and I'll work my way. Are we going to talk about our wild cards too?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Fuck them. Okay, cool. So first I had Jurassic World Dominion, then Top Gun Maverick, Thor Love and Thunder, Lightyear, Nope, Bodies, Beast, Minions, Rise of Gru, Bullet Train, and Elvis.
All right, Ed, what were your top 10?
All right. Jurassic World Dominion at number 1, Thor Love and Thunder, Minions, The Rise of Gru, Lightyear, Top Gun Maverick, Nope, Elvis, Bullet Train, Bob's Burgers, and 3,000 Years of Longing.
All righty. Here's my top 10.
What's your first?
Number 1, Lightyear. Oops. Number 2. Number 2, Jurassic World Dominion. Number 3, Thor Love and Thunder. Number 4, Top Gun Maverick. Oops. Number 5, Nope. 6, Minions, The Rise of Gru. Number 7, Elvis. Number 8, Bullet Train. Number 9, The League of Super Pets. And number 10, The Black Phone. So those are our top 10 that we have picked. And now we're going to review the top movies that are currently in standing domestically. I'm going to go... I'll go top. Fuck it. Top Gun Maverick currently has $521 million domestically.
Ooh.
So,
and
Miguel,
this is sorry. We should note that obviously Top Gun among these has been out the longest, Like these numbers are just based on
Currently,
where they
yeah.
stand currently. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. And then, so like Miguel, you have the closest to that with your Top Gun being at number 2. So you'll be getting more points for that
There you
for
go.
sure.
Yeah.
Jurassic World Dominion is at 302 million. Again, Miguel, you had that number 1. Ed, you had that number 1 as well. So that's pretty great. Lightyear is at 88 million.
No.
Jesus Christ. I mean, talk about a difference here.
Man.
Top Gun at 521, Jurassic World 302, and then the dip is real. 88 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, technically speaking, Doctor Strange would probably land right behind Top Gun, but obviously we started after that release.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, but to your point, Lightyear seriously underperformed. I think a lot of people were counting on the name and brand recognition.
Well,
but
Ed made a good point.
This is my biggest thing. This year feels a little strange, and I feel like it's because there's been like these are all the movies that were backed up by the pandemic, but they released Lightyear on Father's Day weekend when, you know, if dads were going to go see movies, you know, they were obviously going to go see Top Gun and or Jurassic World, where, you know, Lightyear's obviously for kids. We all went that weekend, but that wasn't going to be the same. And I remember going to that theater that weekend, and it was packed. But Lightyear definitely wasn't sold out. You know what I mean? People were like definitely going to see those other 2 movies because that's what they want to go see. You know, the release date strategy so far this summer has been very weird, like very packed. They've had a lot of big titles back to back.
Oh yeah,
and because usually they would be more strategic about it. So, like, say Marvel released a movie, any other studio would give it a couple of weeks to breathe before they release their film. Like, a lot of studios would move their movie back so they could, like, make the most profit. You know, like once everybody's gone to see the latest Marvel film, they'll want something else. You know, but whereas this has been Top Gun, Jurassic World, Lightyear, Elvis. Now, like these were all like big contenders for the summer blockbuster. So, yeah, it's been interesting, and Lightyear has been one of the bigger disappointments so far, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's still true. All these movies were backed up during some of these movies were backed up in the pandemic, like Top Gun, and so it is a lot of like them trying to squeeze into this season. You know, I put Lightyear so high because, you know, I saw it trending just socially on things, and people were clicking on it, and you know, I thought it was
people are liars, Luis. You should know that people are liars.
I thought the clicks and the likes would reflect into numbers here. And clearly it did not happen, so I'm not going to use that strategy next year. But shit. Fuck. The Bob's Burger movie comes in after that at 31 million. Elvis, that just came out, is at 31 million as well. And then Black Phone, which I hear is good, is at 23 million. So that's a movie I'm going to try to sneak in too, is to see Black Phone.
You should pay your tickets, Luis. That's...
I have AMC A-list. Wait, did I miss a joke?
You said
fuck.
No, just
you said you were sneaking.
You said sneak in.
Oh
yeah. What are you in high school?
My headphones are disconnected. Yes. Okay. My headphones are disconnected. Sorry. So, you know, I don't know. That's all I got to say about Summer Blockbuster. Do you guys have any closing arguments before we move on?
I just wish I would have put Top Gun as my first one. I feel like Top Gun, the only other one that's going to really give it a run for its money is Thor, Love and Thunder. You know what I mean? MCU movies tend to do pretty well unless they hit in like a weird, like it's like a first time MCU movie or whatever. But because Thor Ragnarok was so good and people are really excited about this new one, I think this is the one that's going to fight Top Gun this summer. But I wish...
And we'll also see how Minions does this weekend, baby.
You guys put so many more animated movies on your list than I did. I mean, I like animation, but I just don't see it as like other than like, okay, yeah, kids are definitely going to want to see this, like Rise of Gru. I mean, Minions, I might have put that on my list. Hang on 1 second. Yeah.
It did.
It did. It was
because
below bodies,
I
bodies,
feel like,
bodies.
which honestly, I don't even remember what bodies is. Listen, I am not the one that's going to win this thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm so
You
bad.
might though.
You might
with the
bad.
Top
Yeah,
Gun.
but it would
You might
only
with
be
the Top
because of
Gun
Top
and the
Gun.
Jurassic World.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or maybe Jurassic World a little bit, but
Honestly,
No,
I don't
I think-
know. This is pretty. You're in a good
I definitely underestimate. I honestly, I thought Top Gun was going to do really well, but I thought it was going to end up maybe 600-700 million range, like worldwide. I mean, so, but the fact that it's already surpassed that, I mean, it's pretty incredible. So, more power. I mean, more power to him. And that's not a movie that reaches all generations or
But you know what?
audiences.
I have
You know
all
what I
summer
mean?
long have talked about Top Gun to like a multitude of people. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where they just come in and they're like, yeah, they were either like they saw Top Gun the original in theaters, or they're just fans of Top Guns, or they're not fans at all and they just liked
or the marketing. People, I've had like talked to a bunch of people who were just like, oh man, the trailer, like I saw the trailer in theaters and it just looked so good on the big screen.
Yes.
And so that like the marketing was just played very well, and then they've also had time to build up that anticipation.
I mean, we saw
just like, oh hey, that Top Gun movie's coming out.
You're talking
and it's
about
going to be on
trailers,
IMAX.
and it was just like I think they released like 5 or 6 trailers for this movie.
Yeah.
I remember the
very
Super
last
Bowl
final
last year,
trailer.
They were like, "This is the Super Bowl trailer." You thought, "Oh, okay, we're about to see it."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Psych, no, now we're seeing it next year." You know what I mean? So,
I think I remember seeing the first trailer in like 2019.
dude, that's what I said last week.
Like
I was blown away that they said that they were holding this movie for like 3 years in the vault. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I was listening. I texted you guys. I was literally driving to work. The sun was coming up over Houston skyline, and I was listening to that opening track. And man, when I tell you it was epic, I would recommend, to anybody on their regular morning drives where, they're just reminded of how repressive life is. You should just listen to some of like the more bombastic and just like indulging soundtracks and just like go to town. Like when I'm parallel parking or reverse parking in a parking lot, throw on Interstellar. No Time for Caution. That's a great track to park to. Like it really just amps up attention. Driving in the morning sun and listening to the Top Gun title track, fucking epic. It's soundtracks can change your life. Make the soundtrack your soundtrack.
Ed, do you have a Spotify account?
When you're leaving? Yeah, man. Well, courtesy of Miguel Sanchez.
Hey, shout out. That's what I'm talking about. But don't say that because then they'll cut you off. Okay, you gotta, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Miguel, if you're out there, Miguel, if you're listening to this, shout out to you, my brother. Very much enjoying that. But yeah, soundtracks are life.
That's beautiful. Well, we did it. We hit another section out of the park. So we're going to wrap it up on what are we into? And we are throwing it to my friend, Miguel Sanchez.
That's right. It's me.
What have you been into?
Damn.
You sound like no.
No, not like a bad way. I'm just like, my heart was proud. It's just like
I will say I just
but I need to go fill up my jug of wine.
Yeah, every time I start, you gotta go. This is like 3 episodes in a row.
Okay, well, what are we talking about first, Miguel?
It's a bullshit one. You're gonna hate this, yeah.
Sarah.
I'll tell you what,
just
Ed, run away for a second, and
exclaimed.
come back, and then we'll talk about weeds. Okay. So, shoo, Ed, go.
No, I want to hear what this is going to be about.
I was going to pivot for a second, and I was just going to ask Luis about something.
Okay.
So go on, Ed.
What's up,
Luis?
Jeremy pivot.
No, I have been so busy with like, oh my god, mute Ed. There you go.
I muted him.
I've been so busy. Like I came back from that 2-week vacation and we immediately started moving. So I haven't really been into a whole bunch of that. But what I want to ask you, because I know Ed's not really doing it, Are you still playing God of War?
Okay, so I've been dabbling a
That's
little
okay.
bit. I did take
Take
a
a
break
break.
to play Shredder's Revenge. Shredder's Revenge came out, and I dived deep
That's
into
cool.
that, and I finished
Ooh.
the game. But I haven't gotten too far into God of War. I'm
No,
so
it's okay.
sorry.
Tell me.
I feel
Can
like
you
a
just tell
failed
me, like,
child.
what was the
Okay.
last thing you remember about God of War? Where you at?
Yeah, so we did the kind of the beginner level, and then that dude came knocking at the door. He's like, "Huh, I'm looking for the God of War," and then he's like, "Get out of here, buddy!" And then he's like, "No," and then they start fighting, and he starts breaking his legs, kills him 3
Yeah.
times, but he doesn't die, and he beats the shit out of God of War. I'm just calling him
I
God
love
of War
that.
because
That's how I refer to like Coldplay, Maroon 5, like those lead singers. I don't know their names.
Yeah.
They're just like Coldplay,
Yeah.
Maroon 5.
Yeah. And so he beat the shit out of him, and now he's going on to do some adventures.
Has he met the witch? Like
somewhere.
the witch yet? Who lives in the turtle?
No, not yet.
Dude,
In the turtle?
dude,
No, not
you're
yet.
so fucking early in that game. There's so much more. I know you're busy, so it's okay. I won't push it, but I was curious about where you're at because I'm thinking about maybe replaying it.
It's so interesting too because like some of the things that we're into, like I still want to watch Saving Private Ryan. That's been on my list. We've been talking about that for weeks, and I've been watching all these other shows, but it's tough because when you have a significant other, you try to balance like, okay, what can we watch together, and then after that, what can I watch without her? You know what I mean? And so there's like a balance of like movie watching. Okay, we binge this, but then you watch that, and I watch this by myself. And then what's short? What can I manage? And so it's tough out. It's tough out there.
I've got like a couple of shows that are in deadlock right now because I want to watch them with Sarah.
Dude, you have to break
but
grounds.
It's like, but it would also be shows that like, okay, we watched season 1 together.
Yes,
I'm dying to jump into season 2, but obviously. Exactly. It's like been a tough week kind of thing. It's just
you have like a long queue of things you need to watch. Like, for example, we're going to be talking about, I'll spoil it, but The Bear on Hulu. And she found out that I was watching it. It was like, are you fucking serious? You watching The Bear? And I was like, babe, we're watching so much other stuff. Like, by the time we get to The Bear,
I'm getting paid to do this.
Yeah. By the time we get to The Bear, it'll be 2 months afterwards. Like, we have so much other things. Like, I know we're gonna be watching Stranger Things. We're gonna be watching Umbrella Academy soon. And by the time we finish all this stuff, we'll never get to these other shows. And so I'm like, okay, I watch The Bear on my own time. You watch The Bear on your own time. Are you interested in this? No. Okay, cool. Let's conquer and divide these shows. And then whatever we want to do together, we'll do together because it's just too much, to try to like tackle them all. Especially like after you work all day and you only have like 2 hours together, It's tough.
You want to have that. You want to share that time. You don't want to just shut them out.
Yeah.
You want to share that. But hey,
and with all these movies,
love is a hindrance.
And with these movies, we're like, okay, can I swing you to watch like 3 hours? Like, can I have you sacrifice 3 hours of the day to watch something? Thank you for making that sacrifice last week. Can we do it again this week? Can we do it again next week? Because it's the summer blockbuster season, baby. So
yeah. Do you know? Has Sarah seen Saving Private Ryan before?
She's not going to watch
that sounds like a movie. Yeah, she's not into. I think I made Kristen watch that, and she definitely was not. I had to like skip the first 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
no, absolutely not.
That's the whole point.
It's not.
That's the whole point of
the. I know, but she's not.
Okay, well, Luis, look, before if you don't get to watch that movie,
I have a date in mind
before
already.
The next time.
Oh, before the next time.
Don't tell me July 4th.
No, it won't be July 4th. I have a weekend. When's the weekend? It's going to be... It's like in July. I have it scheduled out. I swear to God. I already know the weekend I'm doing it at. I'm going to turn the lights off. I'm going to have my TV on. I'm going to have no distractions. I'm just going to focus on that movie, I don't want to watch it on my iPad in the middle of the night under my sheets.
No.
Like...
I would smack you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been watching Weeds.
Anyway.
No, we just started today. Like I was saying a second ago, I've just I just got back to Colorado on Sunday night, and Monday morning we started moving into our new place. So I have not been watching a whole bunch. And just today I read a thread that was like, what are the shows that like absolutely started off great and then they ended off like terrible? You just couldn't finish them. And Weeds came up, and I was like, damn, it's been a minute since I've been disappointed.
Oh my god, McDowell.
So I was like, fuck it. And I like Kristen came home this morning and I was just like, hey, I've been thinking about watching Weeds. And she did like a phase where she watched the whole show. And I had kind of jumped off. So I was like, let's do it. Let's watch it. And I found it's on Prime right now with commercials. And I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I can watch like 72 seconds of commercials.
Does she like it?
I think we're on the same page. I mean, the general feel and how I feel is like after like season 3 is generally the internet's cut off. I like season 4. But I think Kristen, like she held in, like she watched all of them. I don't remember her saying like she absolutely hated it, but she got to the end of the show and she, you know what I mean? I remember when that episode came out, which by the way, I just looked up, that final episode of Weeds came out 10 years ago.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's already such a dated show. But I remember clearly like the moment in time where I was watching it. You know what I mean?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't it precede Breaking Bad?
Yes, because when Breaking
slightly.
Bad was shopping around for networks trying to find a home, a lot of the feedback they were getting was like, this is kind of like Weeds. Like we already have a show like this.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
And guess who won? No. Well done, AMC.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But no, we only watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes today. Really, I just wanted to kind of get back into it. I was thinking about the theme song. If you guys haven't seen the show or listened to the theme song yet, you should do it. It starts off so strong. It's such a great premise to a show. So I'm ready to do these first couple of seasons and then get disappointed, like I said. So.
Is that the theme song? Little houses,
yes.
little houses,
yeah.
little houses made out of ticky tacky.
Yeah, it's something like that, but that's pretty on point. Yeah, it's so good. You know what I mean? It just like it totally encapsulates the show, whatever the word is. You understand the storyline.
The first couple episodes.
And what's wild is that song also they have it in the pilot. Like a lot of times the pilot is just like something that's like shopped around, so you don't really have the full theme song or anything yet. But from episode 1, they were boom, this is the show.
I love
so.
That.
But over time, they did different variations of that
and then
song,
eventually,
right?
like past season 3, I think they cut the song, and then it was just like a like a title card, like Weeds.
Right. Like so many shows do, though. Right. I mean,
I don't like to skip the intro sometimes. For me,
sure,
when they're really
it gets
good.
me in the mood.
Yeah, I like the Ted Lasso one particularly.
You like the Ted Lasso one? Yeah,
it's so brief. It's so brief, man, and but like every time I just like let it roll because I just don't think anything of it. It's not one of those like long drawn out credit sequences, which if I recall correctly, I felt like Weeds was a really long title sequence.
It can, it's a long. They basically played the whole song. So have you
like The Sopranos is like the longest one I can remember. That show is so long.
And I vaguely remember you watched Weeds for a little bit because you developed like an opinion about it. Kind of like Lost, I'm assuming, because that was when that's how I remember Weeds. It's like I was watching Lost and Weeds kind of in a similar time frame. Luis, have you ever seen it?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I've seen again the first 3 seasons, and then I stopped watching it for some reason.
Baby,
I stopped it before they like went to Mexico and all that.
That's the show basically, like for the first 3 seasons. So you did good.
I hated every single season. I'm sorry.
That's cool.
I don't know.
I detested pretty much all of the characters. I will say
that was the problem with Weeds is every character, and this is the general internet opinion. It's very true. Is eventually all of the characters from the parents to the kids to the side characters, yada yada, they all just become very annoying, very unlikable, and kind of very quickly too. You're just like, oh, here we are. I hate you. You know what I mean?
I think that was the time when like I started smoking weed, and I was like, oh, rad, a weed show. You know what I mean? Just like.
But at the same time, though, it was kind of like at that stage where like TV was kind of embracing weed. But at the same time, they were, because it's a bunch of studio execs who are just like, oh yeah, let's do this weed show because it's cool or whatever. It doesn't like capture the life of a regular pot smoker at all. It's just like makes it kind of like my biggest problem with Seth MacFarlane is just that he thinks pot smoking is so funny. But he's such a fucking, I don't know. I mean, he's a very talented man.
Let me ask you this.
His outlook on weed is just odd. It's like that of a boomer.
10 years
you know what I mean?
Since the finale. You know what I mean? So it's been even longer since the pilot episode. Would you guys give it a rewatch? Would you even like consider watching like even just like 1 or 2 episodes?
Oh, a 1 or 2 episodes
Yeah,
a week?
like I'm not asking for like a commitment.
I mean, that doesn't seem like a problem. I mean, I'll probably put it in the background, maybe brush
Bro,
my
that's what I'm
teeth,
saying.
Running.
Dude.
Yeah, just like we're doing the dishes on an iPad. Like, oh,
So
okay.
Do you watch shows while you're brushing your teeth?
Yeah.
I used to have a TV.
I put on my headphones. But these aren't
too distracting.
These aren't.
I want to watch
shows.
the show.
Well, these aren't important.
Sure,
you have brushing teeth shows. You have
absolutely.
dishwashing shows.
Yeah, I get you.
You're the Worst was one of those. I used to like throw on You're the Worst, and I would like wash dishes, brush my teeth, clean the laundry, just like things I could like throw in the background that I'm not too precious about. I have to have shows that I'm not precious about.
You can hear the dialogue.
Yeah, it's like I get where it's going.
See.
I can look over when things are happening. Or I'm stuck in traffic. I can put it on. I mean, like deadbeat traffic.
Oh, well, that's
like,
dangerous. That's
well, I'm not moving anywhere. Okay.
I only started doing that because Luis told me he did it. You know what I mean?
Are you serious?
When I used to have to sit in traffic for like an hour plus, I would throw it right on the dash.
I mean, there's a moment where I'm not even moving literally for 10 minutes. Like I am just waiting for the traffic light to go on, and I'm just like inching along. Like at those moments, it's going on. I'm not saying do it all the time, and please don't do it. I guess don't sue us. It's bad.
It is bad.
You know what I mean?
No, Punch Drunk Nerd told me to watch movies while I was driving.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I made a mistake. I should never.
I started watching Saving Private Ryan on my regular morning route.
I totally forgot to write this down. There was one more thing I want to say that I did watch very briefly. So while I was on vacation, we were also kind of watching Netflix in the hotel rooms and this and that. And so over the last like 2.5 weeks, I've been in pieces rewatching Martin Scorsese's The Irishman.
I love you for that, Miguel.
I wasn't sure how you were going with that. I was like, oh, that's an emotion right there.
No, if anything, I'm just like glad that you revisit some of these things.
I'm really trying, and it's such a long movie. And I remember like that first knee-jerk reaction to something like that is just like blah blah blah. And with Ray
Sorry, real quick. This reminds me of a question that I have for both of you. I don't want to forget it, but no, go ahead.
Just fucking ask your question now. Go ahead.
No.
I'm not speaking till you ask. No, I'm not doing it until you ask the question.
Okay. All right. So I was thinking today, we were talking today at work about how I went to go see The Hateful Eight in theaters when they were doing that 70mm roadshow. And so they included the intermission.
Yes.
And we've had a conversation many times about the length of a movie. Let me ask you guys this. If I know they won't do this ever again, but if movies were like long movies, say 2.5 hours plus, started incorporating an intermission, like would you guys have preferred that? Like, do you wish you were in that kind of point of time where movies still did have that? Like for movies like The Batman, maybe,
yes,
and just like The Irishman. You were just saying, like, sure, I could have done with an intermission in that movie.
Absolutely.
Anyway, thoughts?
I mean, you're to your point, Ed. They'll never do it again. When you look at the screenings for a Marvel movie, they take up like 42 hours of the day. You know what I mean? Like they're just there's no time built in for an audience to have a break. They need to get in and get out so that the next group can come in. So I know they won't, but absolutely for these long movies, I mean, it would just be so great to kind of have a break. And I feel like as an audience too, you know what I mean? Like, okay, we all need to pee. I know I need to pee. You do too.
Like you remember we sometime last year, I think it was, that I watched the Green Mile, and we were talking about those days where when they were releasing it on VHS, they would be split on 2 tapes, but they would end it in an appropriate spot on each cassette, kind of thing. So. It just got me thinking, and you were talking about The Irishman. That's
why I was kind of enjoying The Irishman, because I was basically doing it in the morning while Kristen was asleep and the boy was like playing the Switch or whatever. okay, I'll take 30 minutes and I'll watch The Irishman for a little bit. And at piece by piece, you know what I mean? It let me kind of absorb the movie a little bit, absorb the moment. Okay. And then kind of think about it as a whole when I finished it. And I'm still not done with it, if you can believe it. Like, I'm still really dragging out, like Jimmy Hoffa just got killed. You know what I mean? Like, and there's still like 40 minutes left of this movie. It's a long movie.
What a great
but bro,
moment.
dude, I tell you, dude, I've seen it the once, like all the way through, and I've seen it now in pieces. And I was just thinking, like, I don't really know what the through line is. I don't really understand like the whole overall story, but they do such a good job in that third act of like really tying it all together. Excuse me. And you kind of see like where the story's going. I didn't quite understand, like, because Robert De Niro, he's like with Joe Pesci, he's with Al Pacino. And you're like, how do you fit into the overall story? Like, what is it? But then, and like I said, in the third act, they're doing a really good job. So I've been having a really good time.
You've seen that movie, right?
No. I've never seen it.
That's all right.
I would say watch it before Weeds.
I think
yes, for the love of God, please.
I think I just wasn't. I don't know. I just wasn't interested. I saw the trailer. It's 3 hours and 29 minutes long, and it was just a time when I was just like, I felt exhausted just looking at it, you know. But maybe I'm wrong.
I did it in one sitting at the theater. I never went to the bathroom.
I'm impressed.
It's 3 hours and 29 minutes. That's insane.
Let me tell you this: the reason
I conditioned myself so well.
Were you training for this? You're like, I'm not paying for 3 hours.
I did. No, I can't remember what I watched prior to it, but and all I did was sip on a flask of whiskey the whole time.
Look, I like Scorsese films, but something about like it's also like the look of it.
So
it has this like blue, like CGI-ish look to it sometimes that kind of like was off-putting to me.
Yeah,
and it was at a time when he was throwing shade at movies, and I was just like, I don't know. It was just like
for
Marvel movies. Let's be straight.
Say it with your chest.
Martin Scorsese is never.
He was throwing shade at Quentin Tarantino. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, just like the look of it seemed like digitized too much for it feeling like a Scorsese film, which is like a film movie, and so.
For me, what really made me come back to it was that Ray Liotta passed away recently, and Goodfellas is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. And
so good.
I just rewatched that one recently.
You know, to Ed has always tried to get me to watch the movie Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, and I've seen it maybe once, but I would like to watch it again after this, especially. But like in my mind, Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro, they just go like this. You know what I mean? Like they go together. And then for Martin Scorsese specifically to get his pals Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, and then also Al Pacino, who is like one of the greatest of all time. All three of them, plus the ensemble itself is so good. I mean, I was watching it going like, it's like Ray Romano. Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, there's a lot of other names that I couldn't actually say off the top of my head. Jesse Plemons, but also like Ed, you watched The Wire. Do you remember Herc from The Wire, the fat white bald guy? He plays Fat Tony. I was telling Kristen, it wasn't until like 3 hours into this movie that I even realized, oh my God, that's the guy from The Wire. But anyway, all to say, there's something about getting these three iconic actors together on screen, and possibly for the last time. You know what I mean? That really drew me in. And so when I was thinking to Luis's point about the CGI and how like it's kind of weird, like at the beginning of the movie, Joe Pesci calls Robert De Niro kid. Oh, hey, kid, blah, 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 blah. And they already look so fucking old. But once you kind of like, you try to just buy into it and you just kind of, set all that aside, it really just becomes like, man, Martin Scorsese did this. He like got all three of these people together. And and it's a really good story on top of it. So
it may have come maybe like
just
5 or 10 years too late, but at the same time, to your point, and I think I said this on the Movie Gab whenever this movie first came out, we discussed this movie, and I was just saying like for whatever you take away from it, one of the biggest things, and it's not just that, it's also these guys kind of at the top of their game. Like Miguel, you were talking about that third act. Like Robert De Niro throughout that movie is kind of just like an avenue into this story. he doesn't display a whole lot, and the de-aging honestly does the whole movie a disservice. I'll be
It's
honest.
tough.
Like it's definitely not the best.
That's
it's
what's
not the
making
best
me not want to
de-aging.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah, how I just feel like it's it's on such a grand and epic scale that you kind of just get immersed with everything that's going on inside of it. Like Al Pacino is totally too old for the role of Jimmy Hoffa. Like, but then again, it's like one of the best performances he's done in years, and it was so good to see all of them just kind of like. In that third act, really,
I really want to
just brings it
shout
home.
out Joe Pesci because I mean, throughout the entire movie, like you think Joe Pesci in any other movie ever, you have an idea of how Joe Pesci is, and in this movie, he does the polar opposite, and it's like one of the greatest Joe Pesci performances because he's so still, he's so quiet. They make him very old. I mean,
but very intimidating.
But like
at the same time,
you buy into it pretty quickly. Like he pulls strings. Like he knows the right people, and he doesn't need to be loud, boisterous like normal. And it's just honestly like I've been having.
It's a rare opportunity.
I've been having such a good time with it. So I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah, and to have Irishman. Yeah, Martin Scorsese, De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci. Like. It's worth at least
I remember,
once.
Listen,
and like even at this point, Luis, if you checked it out in segments, like you'd be forgiven. Like I think every time I've seen that movie since, it's obviously been in segments.
3.5 hours.
Who has the time? Who has the time?
Listen, I on that day that I'm blocking out for Saving Private Ryan, I know people are screaming at me to watch The Irishman. I will find a way to watch it during that period.
Less so. I mean,
it's
The
great.
Irishman.
I'm having a great time with it. But Saving Private Ryan, you need to watch.
I think
as a must.
I think what just was like, what made me not want to watch it immediately was it felt like he was doing a repeat on the greatest hits.
Sure.
And so,
of course,
and that's what it was like. Oh, we're kind of doing the same thing again. And of course, he's great at what he does, but it was just like we've done this, and I'm not like running to the theaters to see it
to
again.
That point,
to do the best.
I mean,
redo.
That's what I kind of like about it being on Netflix is that I was able to revisit it in my own time and like really sit with it, as opposed to having it kind of like forced down my throat that first year it came out. You know what I mean? So I don't know. All to say is, I think. It's a good watch. I think you might like it. I won't pressure you.
Okay. I'll dabble. I'll dabble with a little Irishman.
I'm done.
Beautiful. Well, I've added a new movie to my list. Ed, what have you been into? I think you what you've been into is what I've been into, so we can kind of hive mind this out.
For the first two, let's talk about the easy one first.
Okay.
We talked about this show a couple of weeks ago, Man vs. Bee, which is a just like a limited series on Netflix starring Rowan Atkinson. Oh, Miguel, you leaving? You motherfucker! As he goes sideways off the screen. Is he sideways to you?
He is, yes, but I'll fix it in post.
Okay. Man vs. Bee. You know what? I first off, I finished this show in one evening.
It's so quick.
Because I think the first episode is maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then throughout that, it's like 10 to 15 to 20 minutes throughout the rest of the season.
The rest are like 10 minutes long. Yeah. Not even passing
quick.
15. Yeah.
Which for this subject matter was perfect. I was so glad it wasn't like overdrawn because like the premise is so simple. Basically, Rowan Atkinson is a professional house sitter who works for, like an app or something, I guess. And he is taking care of a wealthy couple's country mansion, basically. It's very just like top of the line, very advanced technology driven house. And once he is there to take care of the house, he is confronted with a bee who seems to essentially drive him insane. And Rowan Atkinson for Mr. Bean fame, also Blackadder for any Brits out there, but he this was like just one thing that came up where I was just like, yeah, I would watch that because I love Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
He's a national treasure.
He is.
And this was like a 6-episode, was it? 6-7
I think it was 9 episodes.
You're right. But it was so brief, like we were saying, that it felt like nothing at all. It was like basically watching like a feature film, like an hour and a half film.
Truly. Altogether, it's an hour and 45 minutes long, this show. Yeah. You know what I mean? 9 episodes, hour 45 minutes. You can breeze through this, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a and the episodes are over before you know it, and it's just like all these different states. It's very slapstick, very like on the nose, but you know, if you like Rowan Atkinson and his style of comedy, you know, he's obviously a great physical comedian.
Exactly.
And he, you know, this is kind of this sort of thing that I would like recommend to my mum. But at the same time, like, it didn't pretend to be anything else. It knew exactly what it was. It's like it's a conflict between a man and a bee in a very expensive house, and it just plays along nicely. It was just like a nice little laugh, you know. It wasn't too serious. And it's all done through like a CGI bee. Yeah, and you get like introspective from the bee. You know, it's just it's odd, but I was here for it, and obviously I sat through it all. What I would recommend it to like a certain ilk of people. Like I said, it was something I would recommend to my mum just for a laugh. You know, because she would like it. She's just like, oh, Rowan Atkinson, what a treasure. Yeah. It's just him doing what he does best, and I feel like Netflix is definitely a great platform for that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, did you enjoy it, Louis?
Oh, I absolutely 1,000% enjoyed it. I mean, listen, everything you said, I 1,000% agree. If he is a treasure, he is a legend. You know, there isn't many people like him. If you like Mr. Bean, you are going to you're going to enjoy this show. You know, I was just saying, you like Mr. Bean, you're going to enjoy the show. I don't care. I mean, he's like, the physicality of him is wonderful, entertaining. It's so quirky. He's so silly. His reactions is so good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the way he reacts and responds, and how you see his thoughts play out and how he processes things. And when he's coming up with an idea and he feels so clever about himself and he thinks he's going to do it. And then he realizes the mistakes he made. And then he just kind of like, you see his stomach fall. Like, he's so good at illustrating that, like, facially and physically. Yeah. I mean, it is. It knows what it is, and it does a good job of delivering. And it's short.
Never takes itself too seriously. Yeah, it's just like a breeze in the park, a jolly good laugh. Yeah. And I mean,
there are times
like a surprisingly.
Yeah. Now there are times when you're watching.
You roll your eyes. Yeah. Or at times. But you're just like,
it's about a man versus a bee, so it's like,
it has no false pretenses. It was just like a nice little getaway. And so again, to what you were saying, if you're familiar with this actor, if you like Johnny English, Mr. Bean, or anything like that, it's very much in that field.
And the funny thing is you know, they set up all these puzzle pieces like Chekhov's gun, like all these Jenga pieces, like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And so you know, like, fuck, he's going to do all of
You're going to see every single one of those things to the worst extent.
Exactly.
I was going to say, too, like, there's even, like, and I feel like this is very common in a Rowan Atkinson film, there's always, like, a little musical moment where he gets carried away and he just starts dancing. He's just so good. Rowan Atkinson is such a sweetheart, and he's also like an avid collector of cars and racing. And so watching him like tear up that classical Jaguar in the show, you're just like, oh, you know, he came up with that.
There are so many moments that are happening. Like, I almost have to turn away. It's like when I used to watch Kenan and Kel and when I was little, and like the shit went bad so far. I was like, I closed my eyes and I'm like, I can't even deal with this right now. This is just getting out of hand. You know, like it was happening. Like, oh my God, this dude, please stop. Like it was, things got out of control, but it's so enjoyable and so fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. So the other show I watched this week, obviously, was The Bear on Hulu.
Yes.
Luis, I kind of I do want to hear what your thoughts were real quick before I
ask you a
dive
question?
into this thing.
Yeah.
Is this that
Miguel?
this is
Miguel
me.
in the
Hang on
back
here. Hi, yeah. I didn't watch Man vs. Bee, but I can't wait. Is The Bear,
You'd
is this
hate
the
it.
one that's on FX, the one with the guy from Shameless and Maddie Matheson? Okay,
Yes.
dude, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's FX on Hulu.
I wanted to make sure I was
like a weird-
Yeah, hey, Miguel, I want you to know I watched a Maddie Matheson show.
You
before
did.
you did.
Well, honestly,
But I watched it because of you. That you're the only reason I know Maddie Matheson, and I've sponsored him by buying his
love you.
cookbook.
I appreciate
for
that.
you.
Listen, Maddie Matheson, he's not an actor. He is like a celebrity chef.
No,
You know,
he's a
so I mostly,
Are you
I mostly
serious?
see him.
I just looked him up online, and I thought he was an actor,
No.
straight up. Like, he was so good in The Bear.
Dude, that's got me hyped
I
up.
describe him as
No,
a
he's
cook.
A cook. That seems
fuck.
kind of
Well, he
hurtful,
just does,
but I
like-
understand. And
It's more like he's more comfort.
yes. and if
home-style
you
cooking.
Google Maddie
That's
Matheson
his
Hey,
right
on
now,
Google it says Canadian chef.
bro,
so
I'm telling you,
I don't know.
Canadian, I didn't even know he was Canadian.
one of his favorite meals is like a chicken strip sandwich from some like gas station that he goes to in Vancouver.
Uh-huh.
So like, I totally get why Ed is not like the biggest
That's
Maddie
so
Matheson
funny that
fan.
you say that, because in the show he's like, "Bro, I want to cook. Let me cook. I want to be part of the
Dude, I'm
team."
telling
You
you.
know, he's like,
No, I haven't watched this
he
yet,
was
but
great.
I'm very interested simply because I am a fan of Maddie Matheson. And
Wow.
even if Ed's about to shit all over it, I can't wait to hear you guys' opinion. So let's go.
I mean, I literally was. This is before we actually got recommended this on Instagram. We got DM'd. I think this is one of your friends. Ed, did you see that on Instagram? Come on,
I
guys!
don't have my phone
leave me
handy.
hanging
I'm
here.
sorry.
I think because this is
sorry,
one of
I'm
your
so sorry.
contacts, and he's probably a listener. He's like, "Come on, guys, don't be rude."
And is it Andrew?
What's his name?
His name. It's
Musico?
no. He Hunt.
Darian.
Hunt,
Okay.
_514.
Oh yeah.
Shout out
Darian.
Darian.
Darian Hunt. Yeah.
Darian
what
Hunt.
did he say?
He said, "Show recommendation for the Three Amigos, The Bear on Hulu. Stars Jeremy Allen
Nah.
White from Lip from Shameless." And like, I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna check this out." And before he even sent that message, I was kind of interested, and that's what pushed me over. That
Dude.
message.
Shout out Darian.
And so
dude.
thank you, Darren Hunt, for pushing me in that direction. Because literally, I was driving to work, I saw the billboard for The Bear, and I was like, "Holy shit, is that Lip from Shameless?" And I love that dude, and found out his name was Jeremy Allen White. And so I went into it, and I mean, listen, I had a great time with it. And,
Let's hear it.
and one of the notes, actually, before Ed even saw it on the show notes here, I wrote it down. Ed, you'd love it. I don't know if you're gonna love it, but I wrote it down here in my notes because it surrounds. Oh God, I don't know if he likes it. No. So what happens is that there's Jeremy Allen White. He takes over a family restaurant because his brother passes away. He takes his life. And so he's a renowned chef. And so he goes to Chicago and he starts taking over for this kind of like corner, really low end beef sub restaurant, I guess. And he has to kind of like make it good, And so he's bringing in all of these like techniques that he learned from, because he was in the number one chef in the number one restaurant. And so he's bringing all those techniques to these people who don't even know how to like cook properly. And like the place is horribly in debt. They have to pay all these taxes, and he's just trying his hardest to make it happen, while the rest of the people don't want to make changes, and they're dealing with all this trauma and the story's about a family going through death and dealing with that growth and change with food, and it just shows the chaos in the kitchen. And the actor Jeremy Allen White, I mean, he's basically doing what he's doing in Shameless, but he does such a good job of it, where he is handling immense pressure and stress of finances, of family. And, it's dirty, it's grimy, just like in Shameless. And he's dealing with all these different power dynamics. And, he's burning the midnight oil, sacrificing himself for the good of the family. And it reminded me of Uncut Gems, where I was feeling anxious. And when I watched Uncut Gems, I was anxious.
Totally.
And when I was watching them in the kitchen, especially one particular episode. I was like, I was just holding my breath through the whole thing.
You're talking about episode 7?
The second to last
one?
Yes.
That
one. And then throughout, I was just like, oh no, like this shit gets real. But it does a really good job. I mean, for me, I really enjoyed the family dynamics. I enjoyed how I liked how it was a relationship piece. And I don't know. I now I'm just looking at Ed and I really want to hear what he has to say about it. I recommend it.
All right, let's hear it.
And I think it shows people's colors under the pressure of cooking shit.
But Ed also comes at it with like he's worked in restaurants, he's worked in bars. You know what I mean? Like he has.
That's true. He's
got that kind of.
So to me, it's all like
Sarah obviously is still in that lifestyle. So and she got a taste of the final episode last night. I've been watching it by myself.
I'm hyped right now.
And Sarah has like a very clear rule that she just doesn't like those kind of like hospitality shows because she already lives that every day.
Yeah.
She's not into it. All right. So I'm having like a crisis of I don't know.
So Luis,
so
I
looked into I looked into the show yesterday and I saw that it was 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. No. Let me tell you. I kind of like towards the end of this, or actually almost from the get-go, I was kind of hate watching this. I did not enjoy the show. I'm sorry.
What? Not at all?
And I watched. Well, we can get into it. Okay. There are hints of a show that maybe I went into this as a food lover, hoping that it would be a food lover show. And I'm not talking about like a glossy depiction of, I'm not talking about like a Julie and Julia kind of situation where it's just like a romanticized, like I have seen like the shitty interior of the food industry and it does suck. But this show it feels like it was written by people who have never worked in the food industry before. And while there were certainly elements where I could relate to, it was so overwhelmingly aggressive the whole fucking time. Everybody is acting like an asshole all the time in almost unjustified ways. And it just kind of drove me up the wall to where it's more frustrating than it was enjoyable.
Oh, man.
Especially, and I'm talking about the episode 7, I was like angry at the end of that epised. Purely
I was just like
because of how it was tense, it was excruciating. But at a certain point, I was asking myself, is this fun? Is this enjoyable to watch? How could anybody enjoy watching this? And then Sarah came in and watched the last episode with me, and she was just like, this is really pissing me off. And I was like, I agree. I've been hate watching this show. And the thing is, it's just like everybody, again, it's just like so aggressive. It feels like almost over the top with how these people behave. And I appreciate that it is just kind of like a small scale. Again, I didn't come into it thinking it was going to be like a glossy food show where they romanticize that kind of life, because it's not. It's like if you own a restaurant, it is stressful as fuck.
That's what I got from it. I got.
It is very draining.
The feeling I got was that it was very stressful. I was like, oh shit, I had no idea how stressful it is to be working in the kitchen. Is the thing.
And this guy inherited a business that was already established. He's coming from high end. Catering or cuisine to the most casual bottom line kind of food, but obviously it's like a standard or rather a staple of its community.
And watching like,
at least that's the impression I got.
Well, watching cooking shows and seeing like tournaments and stuff, I've seen people like, you're cutting too slow, you're handling this too fast, we need to go faster. Yeah. And so I've seen this on reality cooking shows. Yes, chef. Heard,
Corner chef.
Yeah.
But like,
I was like, oh, this is happening. And so I felt like, oh, wow, we're getting a taste of reality.
It just like, I just felt like it leaned into that idea that just like the food industry is utter chaos all the time and everybody's a dick all the time, because it's really not. And for a restaurant, any restaurant to thrive, if everybody was acting that way that they did, they would have been closed within a week.
He was also dealing with the death of his brother.
No, of course. And I get that was like the central strand to the whole show, is just like this ongoing mystery why this like in flashbacks played by John Berenthal, shout out to.
He's the brother that died?
Yeah, so you only see him in flashbacks, and it's very, very brief.
Okay.
When you see him. But it's just, and I'm not familiar with Shameless. I haven't watched Shameless, so I didn't know what was his name again?
Jeremy Allen White.
Lead.
Jeremy.
Right. He plays Carmine, and I do get that intensity where he was coming from, but like for like the best example was episode 7, where it just was so overwhelmingly just chaotic. Everybody's just being a utter dick to each other, but not even like natural. Like,
but imagine the pressure. Was that not a pressuring situation where like all?
Of course, but it's also completely unbelievable. It got so bad that it was unbelievable. Like anybody would react. Like one of my favorite, or like at least one of the characters that I was most enjoying was Marcus, who was the dessert chef.
That dude but he was also like distracted doing bakery stuff when he should be doing cake.
Which is exactly. Yes, like part of the whole drama of episode 7 was that he was focusing on this project that he was given the luxury of working on throughout his workday, and on the busiest day, the whole fucking episode, they're talking about how busy they're going to be, how much on top of they have to be on this shit, and he's just blocking them out. The most likable character is acting like a complete fucking idiot.
I was getting pissed
just because I was getting so pissed. And then like you're supposed to believe that he feels justified by feeling like attacked from his boss because he's focusing on one thing. Like anybody else would have been fired from their job.
Yeah,
it just wasn't believable. Yeah. I was so angry. I wanted to yell at the screen. I wanted to throw my fucking phone across the room.
What are you doing? Why are you working on a side project?
But that's not entertaining to me. That was absolutely frustrating and absolutely unbelievable because like nobody would act that way and be like, "Oh, you threw my donut.
Okay,
you threw my donut on the floor."
He also
I'm not.
This is the episode. The episode.
But do you think that was like the point? You know what I mean? Like, were you like you?
No, I do. I get the whole energy of the show.
You're very like emotionally charged by this right here in this moment, and I'm just like, was that the point of the show? You know what I mean? I haven't watched it yet, so I'm.
But what's entertaining about that?
Like,
I'm asking, what is entertaining about that?
I found that episode to be entertaining. I felt the stress, and I felt
like there are episodes of Succession that handle that kind of atmosphere far better, because all it is, the chaos that they do is just have everybody yelling over one another and insulting one another in the most like not so creative ways possible.
If you're watching the show, and I know it's kind of a tough one because you seem pretty upset about it, but did you like Jeremy Allen White enough to watch Shameless? Would you ever watch Shameless, or do you feel like this is the moment where you're like, no, I cannot watch any more of this guy?
No, but because I didn't know he was even in Shameless.
He is like one of my favorites.
So this was no one's
in Shameless. In Shameless, he's one of my favorites. So that's why it's so.
He's like one of the good ones.
Because you've seen Shameless, right?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I felt like he was good and convincing, but it didn't make me feel like, oh, I need to seek out this actor, because everybody in the show just like acts the same way, just like I don't know, mindlessly being dicks to each other.
They're from Chicago, you know. They're all like,
and they were leaned into that so fucking hard, and I'm just like, and every fucking evolution of their dishes or their meal, like every time they tried to change, it was just like contradictory of what the actual fucking restaurant was. Like if you were saying, is like they celebrated Chicago style beef, and they did that with sandwiches and like it's kind of like pot roast or slow roasted beef. But then like you got the character Sydney, who becomes the sous chef, who comes in and she's trying to make a fucking braised beef with risotto and serve it for dinner. It's like, get a fucking clue. You are in the wrong restaurant. And then you've got this guy who's trying to make the perfect donut in a fucking beef sandwich restaurant. It's just like, and then they get frustrated with one another when they don't see eye to eye.
I wonder why.
But it's just like, Sydney is being just sarcastic the whole time. Marcus is just absent-mindedly trying to create the greatest donut ever.
These are faulty people who are trying to grow, and this is like...
But it's just like too much mayhem for me to even even start. Like the very end where they were sharing family meal. Like I've been at restaurants where like they would have family meal and we like everybody would get together, they talk about the shift ahead of time whilst they were eating like a kind of just like a basic,
I never heard that term until the show too. Pretty cool.
Family meal.
Yeah,
it's not like the most common thing. Like you won't see it at like chain restaurants or anything, or franchise restaurants, but it's like it's definitely typical of like a small restaurant. Because like you're going into the dinner shift, but it'll start at like shift will start at 4 and then go until like 10 p.m. So you want to feed your staff going into that, and not everybody's going to do that themselves. Anyway, I appreciated those moments, and Matty Matheson was like purely comic relief, if anything. He's like the maintenance.
Yeah, he's the maintenance guy.
He wants to cook
for the store, and he wants to be like a bigger part of the picture. And I almost feel like let him for some levity. But like the cousin Richie, just like the whole fucking season, the dude's just like yelling over people. And then
it was supposed to be annoying.
They're just yelling at each other.
Annoying too.
I know it's supposed to be annoying, but there has to be some sort of like fucking, I don't know, resolution at the end of it. I mean, there just wasn't. Everybody was just being a dick to each other, and at the end, they found maybe some like illegal money in some fucking tomato cans.
Well, hold on, no spoilers, but you guys,
spoilers, whatever.
But listen, I mean, like he was afraid of change, and every time he got pushed and he realized he was like worthless, he became more aggressive as a person. You know, like as the system was changing, he got more riled up because he had to face his insecurity. And this person has no emotional depth, and so he was like a child. They're all children with them. They all have the emotional landscape of a child. You know,
of course, yeah. But they were all like stuck in their ways at this old mom and pop shop, or however you want to describe it. It's like a family. It is a family. Like you could tell, like they do a good job of portraying that they were a family, and they were all hit hard by the death of the previous owner, Mikey, John Barenford's character, and
who died of who killed himself from an addiction, and that whole restaurant created addiction and pain. And it's like, of course, he would be driven to that place because of what that cesspool of like, you know, emotions created, you know, like, but I mean, it's interesting that you say that that you couldn't handle that stress and that it wasn't entertaining to you. I feel like that's
not entertaining. That's not entertainment for me.
But it's visceral life.
I love this.
I wrote this down because you guys mentioned Uncut Gems earlier. That's a kind of, and maybe because I just relate too much to the food industry, but like Uncut Gems, that like it was the actions and reactions of the characters in that movie were natural and organic to, you know, how they're portrayed, whereas everybody else in this show acts like an arsehole and then is returned in kind, and then they're like, why are you being a dick? Like cousin Richie, he's just like, I feel like you're being a dick to me. And I get that they're trying to overcome that, like they're like taking out of their comfort, but when every fucking episode is just relentlessly just chaos and fucking everybody being a dick to one another and everybody being sarcastic to one another. It's just like you've literally got no one to root for. Like, I was rooting for Marcus until he was acting like a complete dickhead in episode 7. And then, like, I wanted to root for Sydney, but she's just, like, sarcastic about every fucking thing she talks about. Like, and then she tries to make a braised short rib with risotto at, like, a counter-service restaurant, which just doesn't make sense. Again, it just was not made by people who ever have worked in the food industry, but they love food, and I get that. But highlight the food. Like when you're in that situation, you bond over the food. You come together over the food, and you want to be. You want it to work.
When Tina, that was a bonding moment where she tasted the food and she was like, "Oh shit, maybe my ways are bad, and I want to become better. You know, I want to evolve from this shitty place into a better cook."
But it was just so overwhelmingly negative most of the time that moments like that, I think, were just like thrown away the next minute, because she starts being like, Tina is just like a dick to everybody else. She's a dick to Sydney for like no apparent reason.
They're all tough.
I want to say,
kill me. Like, I wanted to kill myself like Mikey did in this show.
Oh my god, Ed.
Fuck off. Can I?
No, I really did. It was just maddening. Anybody who was
Miguel, I'm very sorry.
All right. No, go ahead.
No, I just want to say, I have not watched this show yet. And the fact that you guys, both of you, seem to be so emotionally charged by this, like one way or the other, I am so hyped to watch this show right now. I want to either.
You know what, Miguel? You're gonna be like, "Man, it was pretty good."
I want to love it. I want to hate it. Like, dude, I am so fucking hyped for this show right now, dude. I feel like the audience. You know what I mean? So I'm honestly so glad that Ed came in with such a strong opinion about this, because it was just like, okay, dude, I'm fucking ready to go. You hate it? I want to hate it too.
I mean, yesterday when I got on Rotten Tomatoes, I literally questioned, like, am I losing my mind?
Well, I think the reason why Rotten Tomatoes has 100 is because it doesn't have as many views as like a Marvel movie where you have 1 billion people giving crazy views.
It's like a select contingent of people rating.
And the Bear's going to have like 10 people, and those 10 people are going to love it.
Yeah.
And it's not getting a lot of reach, and so that's why it had the average is going to 100. That's probably
of course. But like if anything, I was kind of like relieved when Sarah saw that last episode and was just like,
"This
the fuck is this show? Like, what the fuck?" I was shaking my head at what they were doing with the food at some point. I was just like, but like none of it made sense.
To me, it's kind of like the opposite of like that hype effect when someone is like, "Oh, this show is so fucking amazing, you really have to watch it." I really love the fact that there's such a, you know what I mean, this like love-hate. I love it. I hate it. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I feel like I'm gonna land in a really sweet spot.
Well, I've got to give a shout out to Mike Lindauer, our old buddy. He actually started watching the show after I had mentioned that I was watching it, because again, I guess he recognized the guy from Shameless, and he sped through it and finished it before I did, and he was just like, "Man, that was a great show," and I was probably on episode 6 at that point, and I was like, okay, I haven't been feeling it yet, so it must really come together in the next 2 episodes. The next episode was utter sheer shitstorm.
I love that episode.
And then the final episode was just like not. I mean, yeah, like it was like one of those things where there were moments where I wish and I get the whole trauma thing, and I appreciated that, but it just like the whole show felt so aggressive that I was just put off by everybody involved. Like, my favorite episode was when they accidentally drug a whole party of kids,
right, the hot dog episode,
Xanax,
yeah. Like,
because it was just like out of the kitchen, and just like they're acting like
it was a breather episode.
Normal human. Yeah, it's just too much. Like, that's not how I sit back and relax in the evenings. You know what I mean? Like, fuck me. I was just like, after episode 7, I was ready to yell at anybody, and I was still at work when I was watching that. Like, come at me.
Well, I have 2 really quick thoughts about the bear, and then I'm gonna step out if you want to keep going. Okay?
Go ahead.
very
I'm
quickly.
done.
I used to have the Hulu Premium, like no commercials, and I would watch. I mean, we would watch Hulu all the time. And then I got this like deal through my phone where you could get Disney, Hulu, ESPN for free. And I was like, well, free is way better. But then for some reason, you couldn't upgrade to the no commercials plan. And so all of a sudden I was watching Hulu with ads. And I just like, we have taken a big step back from that platform because of that. So as much as I want to watch this show, I definitely am just like, I don't want to sit through ads to watch it. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't started it yet. Although, like I said, I'll sit through fucking ads. So like, if you guys are, you guys are really like emotionally charged about this, like I want to watch this shit like tomorrow.
The good thing about Hulu too is it's like getting all of the inherited R-rated Fox content that Disney got. Like everywhere else in the world, Disney has Disney Star, but our equivalent to that is Hulu.
And I'm kind of just coming around to it. You know what I mean? Like if I have to watch a couple of ads to watch this content, like it's free, and apparently I'm gonna get super emotionally invested in it. I'm ready to fucking go.
I mean, I apologize if I got carried away, but no, like
it's fine. I learned so much about you from this conversation. You know, I didn't realize this side of you. I mean, I enjoyed the chaos of it, and it really like you couldn't take the taste. Not.
Well, no. Here's the thing, though. Is like a movie like Uncut Gems. I felt like it was justified. Like every bad or good decision that Adam Sandler's character made in that movie, like, was true to that character. Where like it just felt like so, I don't know, poorly developed.
I will say the ending. I have to whisper because I think Sarah's still watching it. I think the ending for me was a little like. Sorry, I think the ending for me was a little rushed there, and could have wrapped up a little nicer.
I was surprised that it ended on episode 8.
It could have had a little bit more time. We got to
honestly, it's like, why was it set in Chicago? You know what I mean?
It was like that Shameless was in Chicago.
That's right.
Too. But like, I think that was my.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was
hard.
I think that was my feeling about it too. I was like, oh shit, this shit's kind of wrapping up really quickly. Okay, where are we going? Oh damn, that's how it ended. All right. You know, that,
and like sure enough, like second season already set up, I guess. But like,
I think so. Yeah.
My final
listen. I mean, that's your final say. We can wrap it up. I really want to go back to this conversation, Miguel, when you've seen it, because I want to ding a round 2 of this combo. I think you're gonna land.
If we do it on the podcast, or if we like get on the phone and talk about this, like I feel like we need to have therapy after this, dude. Like I'm fucking so hyped to watch this show right now.
I already need therapy.
I will binge this shit next week to make sure that I can get caught up, because I'm excited. But I do want to. The final thought I have about this show is, we were talking about at the beginning, I love Matty Matheson. He's one of my favorite people. Ed was very kind. He got me Matty Matheson's cookbook last year, and even though I haven't had a chance to do any of those recipes yet, I'm still very excited, and I love him as a person. He's just like this.
I after watching this show, I really like him too. I want to get to know him. You know, bring him.
I have a recommendation.
Miguel.
Wait, what? Ed, what were you going to say?
No, I was like, when I say one of my deepest regrets about the show was not getting to see Matty Matheson do some cooking.
I understand.
Like I mean, I was just thought like, oh, surely he's part of the kitchen stuff. It's like, no, he's just kind of
background.
Like this. His presence. Yeah, he's actually like the kindest heart in the whole fucking restaurant, unfortunately. And he was like a much welcomed reprieve from all the other bullshit.
I am so glad.
I just think that that's how those characters are. Like that is like those characters to me seem believable. Like I feel like they're all those asshole characters that will rile themselves up. Like you'd have a bunch of alphas in a room just like getting on top of each other energetically, not being able to handle emotions. You know, they get put down and they're going to whip right back out to you, you know, like a rocket. And it just becomes like literally a bottle rocket in a tiny ass room, just bouncing back and forth. And it is a lot of energy and it feels a lot, but I have
one recommendation before we wrap this up. Okay. For Matty Matheson specifically. Okay. So I first started following Matty Matheson through YouTube. He is a very like prolific He's like on very varied YouTube channels. He shows up and he's like, I'm cooking this, I'm cooking that. And to the cookbook, to whatever, if you know Matty Matheson, he's very like gratuitous in his ingredients or whatever. They're very sloppy sometimes. And if you see Matty Matheson in person, you go, I could get it. I understand. The episode, the content that I think you should watch if you want to, if to me personally that I fell in love with Matty Matheson is the Bon Appetit channel, which has since fallen out of grace. Okay, on YouTube, Bon Appetit. He did a quick episode with oh God, why am I blanking on his name? Brad Leone, where they made fish tacos or something like that. And in that episode, Brad Leone mentioned noodling, which is a form of fishing in rivers. And they jokingly were like, we're going to do an episode about this. And then they did one of my favorite episodes of It's Alive with Brad Leone, where they went into this like dirty ass, muddy brown river and they caught fish with their feet. And I'm talking about these big ass fucking fish where they like snapped onto their legs in like these holes, you know what I mean? Like under the water. And it is
almost like eels, right? They're like a large,
huge.
Because I remember you showing me this.
It is one of my favorite episodes because Brad Leone is one of my favorites and Matty Matheson is one of my favorites, and they vibe so hard in this episode. So It's Alive with Brad Leone, where they go noodling. It's a two-parter.
Okay,
that is my content recommendation for Matty Matheson. Okay, and I cannot. To wrap it up, I cannot wait to watch this show.
Okay, I'm gonna take the torch here. You know what I've been into. We've already been talking about it. The Man versus Bee and the Bear. So I'm gonna. These actually last three things I want to mention very quickly. Not a huge discussion. I saw Sonic 2 on Paramount Plus on a day where we didn't want any heavy emotions.
Fair enough.
Listen, it was like, damn, this is a really, really kiddie movie. I wasn't mad about it, but it was hella kiddie, and probably more so than the first one. But it's got a fun third act. That's what I'm going to say about that. Workin Moms. It's a Netflix series, and I think it started in Canada. It's actually Catherine Reitman, the daughter of Ivan Reitman. Yes, am I saying that correctly? Please.
Oh.
And what's no. God, hold on. I'm looking it up. Yes, Ivan Reitman. The daughter of Ivan Reitman, and I believe the brother of
sister of Jason.
Yeah, sister. Thank you, sister of Jason Reitman. And so she created this show. It was started in Canada, and then Netflix picked it up. And it's just a bunch of crass mothers who are trying to live the dream of working jobs, being badasses, and trying to be moms at the same time. So it's a fun show, short season 2. If you want to watch that, just quick shout out. And then Miss Marvel update. There was episode 4 of Miss Marvel that's out. This last episode kind of chilled out a little bit, and it wasn't what's it called? It let us sit with these characters a bit more. The first 2 episodes are very like driving and trying to get its point across, and now we kind of chilled a bit. I think there was still a lot of like action scenes and things that you kind of have to do. But I kind of enjoyed this last episode where we got to take a little bit of a breather more than usual. I feel like it's taking a little bit of as much as a Marvel Disney show at this point can take a break away from the formula. I feel like, hey, we're doing a little bit something different, with like the villains and things like that. They're uncovering the history. I feel like Marvel is going this direction where now we're looking into the past. With Shang-Chi looking into the past where he had those, 10 rings and he reigned forever. Eternals, they were in the past. They were reigning forever. Moon Knight, he was there in a presence in the past. And also in this show, Miss Marvel, they're kind of saying, hey, long time ago, there was all these things that happened. And so we're kind of uncovering the history of things of past. I'm guessing when Blade comes out, we'll uncover the history of vampires and what happened there. So there's a lot of lore being built, a lot more discussion about dimensions.
I did hear a thing like her Her powers might be drawn similarly to the Eternals. That might.
Yeah,
I read that may have been just like a prediction or something.
Yeah,
I
don't know. I read into that theory. I think it's like 50-50 right now as far as like people aligning with it. But it is coming from her. I think that was a huge debate about the character because she was an Inhuman, and basically this like gas unleashed this version of her that became Miss Marvel, and people were pissed off because they were upset that it was just the bracelet that made her, or the bangle, the whatever, kind of gave her that abilities. But they've kind of said, no, this bangle just unlocked what you already had within you. So there's some cool stuff. I think
I've heard really good things about the show.
I think I think it shows respect to the culture of it as well. Like, it seems authentic as far as you can be for like a TV show format of this kind. It seems authentic. It seems like they're really trying to respect it all, and that's cool because it's like, oh, this really is different taste than what I'm getting with other Marvel, even though it's still a Marvel Disney Plus show. Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see where it goes now. I think I'm more excited about it now than maybe when I first saw it, where maybe the first couple episodes was all flash and tone, and here I'm like, oh, I like where the characters are and where they're going, as a Marvel show can be. Is that it?
That's it.
Yes, we did it. Oh my goodness! In under 2 hours. Look at us doing a good job, everybody. Well,
5 minutes.
we had a roller coaster of emotions. We gleed with joy about Taco Bell. We're excited to see how they run, and we got quite into a fight about the bear. And that's what life is, about the ups and downs and getting through it together as friends. And here we are as friends. Me, Luis Gonzalez, and of course
Miguel Sanchez.
And Deadpool.
Yes, and don't worry, we'll be back again next week. But until then, later, Gators.